we found Mackinac Island fudge beer.
What?
Mackinac Island fudge beer. It's a stout. It's actually really good.
Does it taste like fudge?
No, it's got a little bit of a fudgy taste to it, but it's mostly stout. I'll try and find another 6-pack and bring you guys some.
What does a stout taste like, Amanda?
It's a stout. It's a really heavy, dark beer.
Does it taste like fudge? No, it tastes like stout. What does stout taste like?
Chocolate.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, what about a vanilla stout?
Chocolate. It can taste like chocolate, coffee, or vanilla.
Or oatmeal.
Or oatmeal.
Oatmeal.
Yeah.
No, that sounds weird and funny, but I know, growing up around this Lake Michigan area, I'm familiar with Mackinac fudge.
It's delicious and really bad for you.
Really good, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't even get any fudge this time.
Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Where you are, do you get kill ones? Or are you on the wrong side of the lake? Wrong side of the state, I should say.
We're way too far south for that.
Okay.
You need to be up north, Traverse City, where we're going, so I might actually get fudge, but like Traverse City, Grayling, Mackinac City, you gotta be north of Clare, really.
Okay.
All our international people are really going to love 3 Americans talking about places in America.
You mean 2 Americans talking about places
You
in
mean
America.
2 people who grew up in the Michigan, Indiana area talking about Michigan and
You know,
Indiana.
there was a road in Ivor Heath, and it's got the best fences.
It does?
And if you go down and look at these fences, sometimes there'll be a dog that barks.
Oh
and
my
it's
God.
really nice.
Now by road, do you actually mean road, or just they threw asphalt down and would just put path?
We're not a fucking third world country, Randall.
James, I am fascinated by your local culture. Continue, please.
I
And if
love
you-
fences and dogs.
I am also, just like Amanda, raptured by fences and dogs. Keep going.
Yeah, and so the dogs bark.
They bark? Okay, good.
And I don't have the energy to keep doing this.
I'm kind of sad, because I was actually really interested in hearing about the fences and the dogs.
Well, there's also, if you go down and you take a right, you then go down to the path by where the church is, and on the other side there's this big field, and there'll be horses living in there.
Oh, horses. Okay, so we've got fences, dogs, field, and horse.
Well,
Are they
horses or ponies.
big horses or small horses?
They're more like ponies.
That's
oh,
even better.
ponies!
See?
And I'll go and feed them carrots, because in the summer people neglect them. Or it never looks like they get enough water, so I go and feed them carrots.
The neglected
Yeah.
horses are sad.
They're not neglected, they stand in the sun a lot, so I go and feed them carrots.
That kind of sounds great.
The owners would probably...
No, I'm 27.
In Randall's mind, you've got pigtails and like short shorts and whatever that like I guess sailor's kind of vest that
What,
little
a
kids
giant...
have.
So I've got a fucking kerchief,
Yeah.
shorts that are on suspenders, and I'm licking a
Yes.
giant fucking lollipop.
Yes, you look like a V German child.
Remember the Lollipop Guild.
Or remember the Lollipop Guild. But instead of a lollipop, you have a carrot. And in the other
Yes.
hand, you have a lollipop.
So I guess we've only got the one paper to discuss because nobody came back with a related one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I meant to send out because Ritalik also did a paper on the Ediacaran fauna describing them as lichens, but I forgot to send that out.
Yeah,
that one.
if the paper sort of builds up on stuff, so we can discuss everything in broad terms, and I think we're going to have to discuss everything in broad terms because, to be honest, I don't really know anything about any of what they discuss.
Well, okay, let's start, and then I
Early
can
life
talk
shit,
about how
yeah.
much I don't like this paper.
Okay, we're going to start, and then you'll discuss how much you don't like this paper?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. So we'll give it a couple of seconds so that Curtis can make it sound funny, and then
you have more faith in me than you should.
it's okay. I know you won't be able to edit this immediately because you'll have to wait a day or two for Amanda to get around to putting the thing up. So,
Yeah.
so
Oh, I'll put it on
That'll be
Dropbox
good
right
for
after
you.
this.
Hey guys, welcome to Paleo After Dark.
Nailed it!
And fuck you.
God damn it!
And rest in peace, headphone users. Like
How much
Amanda.
red out was there?
None. We're surprisingly low without only having 3 mics going in as opposed to 4.
Well,
Huh.
Amanda's really shrill, obviously.
What?
Don't worry.
She's deaf now.
You can't. You probably can't hear me when I mumble. So
It is a little bit harder, yeah.
okay. That was an excellent intro. Welcome to Paleo After Dark. Your bi-weekly paleontology niblet food fun stuff.
What the fuck?
I'm trying to be interesting.
You're something, all right.
I actually thought that was great. I'll just have to cut Randall out screaming, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And this thing I'm saying right now.
In fact, if anybody other than James or Amanda is talking, if we just hit the cut button, generally, I think the podcast would go much better. We hope you're enjoying your summer.
Or winter if you're in the southern hemisphere.
Or,
That's
you know,
true.
whatever time of year it is when you're listening to this.
Yeah, you could be listening to this at any time. You could be
Everybody-
saving this one for Christmas.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Due to legacy issues, we hope you're enjoying your chosen season of the year that you're currently residing in.
We hope you're enjoying winter. That joke really doesn't work on an
Hopefully
audio
the
podcast.
Robot apocalypse has not happened yet.
That's okay. In 20 years' time, when it was like, we really hope you're enjoying season 1, season 2 might be coming in a year or two.
No! Season 2 isn't allowed to happen.
You've got 2 seasons, starving or drowned.
Oh, God.
Anyway, we are the usual crew. James, Randall,
Kurt,
And Amanda.
yep,
through the miracles of Skype.
science. With the miracles of science.
Modern science!
Thank you, Randall. We've missed you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so basically standard stuff. University of Kansas, we are it.
We are it. We are
We
all.
are the University of Kansas.
The university is no more.
But all our opinions, etc., are our own. With this is explicit, so I probably will stop.
Yeah, you can
saying
stop
that
saying
every
explicit
time.
because, and to be honest, it's getting to be a really annoying joke. The number of swears I have to come up with every time you say we're explicit.
You don't have to do that though. You know?
I do.
Do you know
I-
how much that annoys
I
me?
really do, though.
Well, once we'll move beyond the language, we'll start doing graphic violence or something. So the next time he does it, I'll just stab him.
Yeah, it works really well on an audio podcast.
Yeah, you can really see
Well,
us
we have
beating
video
the hell out of each
technology
other.
now.
No,
We
no,
need to
you can tell
incorporate it.
because it'll be really badly edited episode.
Okay,
It'd be
guys,
like
so
one of those old
James
radio
and Curtis
shows.
killed each other. I had to do the
Yeah,
editing.
it's just edited by Randall, and all it is Randall's dialogue spliced together with no one else.
I just really
No,
think
man,
that
still be there.
it's a shame that the mixing
Yay,
board's over there,
thanks,
so you can't
Randall.
just cut out mics.
And what we'll do is we'll take a picture of like you two dead on the floor,
Why am I dead?
so you're gonna kill each other.
No.
And that will be the picture for the final episode.
Okay, new plan. We kill Randall.
I thought this was the plan to begin with.
Well, we need to make it clear because he thinks he's in control.
Okay, good.
So the illusion's still going.
The illusion persists. Callbacks. Oh,
And today,
today we're going to be talking about early life stuff, I
God
guess.
damn it.
What?
What from?
Pre-Cambrian life sucks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Early life stuff is complicated and controversial at best at times.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's a good way of putting it.
So what are we looking at specifically today, James?
a paper that just came out on some 2.2 billion year old possible microfossils of early terrestrial life.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
coming out of paleosols, which would mean they're actual fossil soils as opposed to coming out of the marine realm, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued as to when something's a paleosol. Because it's
Well,
fossilized soil,
I
but
think it has to
Right.
be aeolian or air or exposed to the air to be a
but
paleosol.
sandstones aren't paleosols.
Well, here's the thing. A paleosol is anything that shows pedogenic development, which is anything that shows any development of a soil. Now, your definition of that can actually vary. Some people argue that if you've got even one root, then you've got a paleosol. Other people are saying, no, you need to look for multiple steps of soil, multiple types of soil structures. So things like horizonation, plant structures such as roots, when you get later on, you get things like soil-animal interactions, organism interactions. So things like interactions of soil and fungi, interactions of soil and insects, vertebrates, all these different things. So it kind of depends on who you talk to, what exactly they define a soil and therefore a paleosol to be.
I would say, then isn't it somewhat problematic that everything that you discussed there is talking about plant life in the soils?
Yes, exactly.
And dealing with Precambrian stuff.
Where there's no
Exactly.
fossil evidence of any plants.
The other question I have is, how can you tell with any sort of certainty that a metamorphic schist was a paleosol?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I read this paper and I somehow missed that it was a metamorphic schist.
This thing has been
It's
metamorphosed
Precambrian.
up
That's-
to the green schist species.
Yeah, it is.
Maximum green schist species.
Yeah,
So cook the shit.
Yeah,
they start
seriously.
doing some reconstructions with the chemistry to get their interpretation.
So, okay,
And
keep in
the
mind,
chemistry is going to record the maximum temperature.
True.
I haven't taken paleosol since my first year at KU, which was longer ago than I want to admit. But from what I remember about paleosols, you're looking at things that generally have a pretty, not standard, but a recognizable, grain size, recognizable structures.
I thought all paleosols were more or less friable, because they
They're
were
very-
literally
yes.
still soil. They'd just been lithified to some degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You're dealing with stuff that's generally going to be pretty fine-grained. You're dealing with stuff that doesn't have a lot of sedimentary structures unless it's a very early soil. What the hell is it called? I can't remember the name of the earliest. There's all these different kinds of soils, and you have a specific name for like when you first start getting petagenesis, and I'm gonna... Don't ever tell Steve that I forgot this because he'll get really mad at me. God damn it.
It's okay because this was the part that Rick went, we're not going to learn this stuff in Geomore.
Yeah, anyway, it's not that important. But you could conceivably say that you have very early soils that don't show a lot of petagenic development, and that's fine. You can still have some said structures. You go out to the Kansas River where they had that flood back in '93, and you dig a trench and you can see actual soil development on these beds of sandstone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the problem is, if you get that in the fossil record, there's no way in hell you're going to know that it's a soil. Not unless you actually get the root structures preserved, which can happen. You can get rhizoliths, and then you can go, holy shit, this was a soil.
I guess the main thing is, irrespective of whether or not it's a soil, is it terrestrial or marine in terms of deposition?
Right.
Chemically, it does seem to suggest it's terrestrial, maybe.
Chemically? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
End of
is
the day- Sorry, keep
weird.
going.
No, sorry, I wasn't going to say anything important.
End of the day, though, typically when we're referring to soils, we are referring to some mixture of organic substance and the actual sediments.
I mean,
Yes,
that's the
yes.
difference between soil and dirt.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
just dirt is just pure rock, like rock sourced, and to be a soil, it has to have an organic component.
Right. Well, dirt actually is soil. You're talking about sediment.
Yeah, you're thinking sediment.
I'm speaking for the lay audience.
Oh, fair
Okay.
enough.
Oh, you're speaking for the everyman?
Yeah.
That's what you do, James?
Dirt is what's on the ground, in
Yeah.
the ground.
So essentially, what we're dealing with when we're dealing with a soil is a biogenic interaction with sediment. That's what it is. That's what soil is. We cannot have soil before we have land-based life. Now, whether or not you want to argue that there was bacterial films on land that could potentially create soils before we had the first, land plants, whatever, that's entirely possible. I guess I've never thought about it like that. It's an interesting concept.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it's something that could be happening.
Mhm.
We don't know, but would we necessarily call the saccharides that were being made in these mats, would they form soils?
See, this is part of the problem because
Yeah.
everything that I've always learned about soils talks about vertical movement of sediment, vertical movement of nutrients, minerals. You get this vertical zonation in soils. So, I mean, that's everything that I've ever learned about soils and soil development. So I'm not exactly sure if you've got, just a layer like a microbial mat or something on there, how exactly is that going to churn up the sediment the way that a root does? Or the way that insects do. Because that's a big thing in soil production, is that you get this movement of the sediment based on root action, water action, and the action of organisms.
I guess part of the problem in a way is it's almost an artificial construct where we're just picking the top layer once you have a biota and it interacts with it and calling that a thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it gets very hard where you can't really get plants and stuff like that without soils because they need a source of nutrients, but you can't have a soil without the plants to make it a soil.
Right. I mean, although, this concept of having like a biofilm holding the sediment in place is actually a very interesting concept, and it's not one that I thought of before. Excuse me.
Mostly because I don't think there's any modern analogs that we could go to where the only thing that could be forming any sediment or keeping any sediments in place on the terrestrial realm is a biofilm. Because in most terrestrial realms, I just don't think it stays up. I mean, the only example I can think of is like your stromatolites that you get out of Australia.
Stromatolites,
but that's water. That's aqueous.
I think like there are some salt flats, maybe some of these dry lake beds.
Right, where you can't have anything else there but some microbials.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would make sense, and that could very well be a very accurate kind of modern analog for what we might see something like this back in the Precambrian. But again,
granted, it would be not just the fact that the environment was hazardous, but just that there wasn't a lot of life there.
Right, and the atmospheric conditions are completely different. God knows what the water chemistry was like back then. I mean, what is the pH of the rain coming down? Who knows?
So almost could you expect maybe? I mean, some of the interactions that happen with life to the soil is almost like acidic wearing down from root systems of certain rock sediments. You get that especially in like desert soils where the actual roots can burn themselves into the rocks to hold position.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and you get that in high elevations too.
So you might get similar processes if you have high acidity in the rock record, maybe wearing down sediments in a similar way.
The problem with that is that if there's nothing to hold the sediment on that surface, it's just going to slough off into runoff, essentially. And even if you have a microbial mat holding that in place, it's only holding on that top layer of sediment, and if you saturate that whole layer, it's just going to slide off anyway.
You get that though with plants. It's how you get landslides.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely an option. But with a microbial mat, I imagine it would happen a lot faster because you don't have to saturate the soil quite as much, right?
It depends on how this microbial
slope
mat's
and
holding together.
We're inventing a hypothetical microbial mat that may or may not exist that's explaining this paleosol, which we don't know if it's a paleosol.
As far as we know,
That's
a
true.
hypothetical microbial mat might be stronger than modern plants holding soil together.
Sure, it's a super plant.
Woohoo! Oh, speaking of, we
in
have
the
slime
past,
molds
it
in our
was
front
just-
yard.
That's cool.
Nice.
You have a what?
Slime
We have
molds.
we have slime molds in our front yard. It's been so wet here. It's totally kick-ass. I took pictures.
That's cool.
Yeah. Hey, maybe
always
this
odd
stuff
when you
is
find
slime
them.
molds. Slime molds are awesome.
Possible.
Slime molds are awesome.
They are!
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I am saying that slime molds are awesome.
Anyway, sorry, I just remembered that.
No, that got us off of a tangent of inventing a super mold.
That's true.
It's interesting that you guys all go and immediately start talking about the soil, because, I mean, there were two parts to it.
Oh, that's the first part. Believe me.
Yeah.
The other
Yeah.
part is I don't know if I want to. It's that I don't know. God, I don't know. I don't want to be disparaging, but I often make a joke that sometimes when you're dealing with early life stuff, you're just dealing with blobs. Man, sometimes you're just dealing with blobs.
Early life. Yeah, it probably existed. We found it.
Early life probably existed. That's like reading the last 12 chapters of a book and going, there's probably a chapter 1 and 2.
Oh, I always start my books at chapter 12.
Randall secretly believes in spontaneous creation.
Dear God.
No, I just brought everything into existence from the previous universe.
Randall pulled everything.
Mind you, the previous universe was about a foot high.
So wait, but in that previous universe, was there early life? Or was that life brought in from a previous universe?
It was brought in from the previous universe.
Okay, it's just previous universes all the way down.
The first life form was Gary Busey, and that explains an awful lot.
That means everyone should be really good at drumming.
Before time began, there was Gary Busey.
There was the Busey.
That's actually, if you actually really watch the Land Before Time, they're not running away from T-Rex, they're running away from Gary Busey.
Busey. Oh. Let me see if I can't get this set up a little bit more. There we go.
I'll say technical difficulties, is that more comfortable?
More comfortable, and also I'm not worried about every time I shift if it's gonna pick up some noise. I don't know. Well, it'll be entertaining one way or the other.
Oh yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah.
So, do we want to get deep into Gary Busey at this point and start talking about?
I don't think anyone wants to get deep into Gary Busey.
That could have been worded better, Curtis.
Well, I think that looks like a Busey.
I was gonna say, I think that was worded exactly how I wanted to word that. Do we want to actually get into talking about the fossils?
Well, there are a couple. I have other than well, we can have you talk
actually,
about that.
Randall. The fossils.
Yeah, because there were two aspects to the paper in regards to the fossils I was interested in. Well, the morphology, then two aspects of the paper that one's methodological and one's what was going on here thing. So I don't know what you want to tackle first. Do you want to talk about chemicals? Or...
You want to go with the fossils, get their shape down first?
Or we could talk about chemicals and then talk about fossils in the second part. I don't mind, I don't know.
Actually, let's keep all this abiotic, the environment and the chemistry, and then it's almost as though we organized this.
What? No, never. We never do that.
It's like fact-checking.
No.
God
Randall,
forbid. Anyway.
What about the chemistry?
People that are very, very clever might remember that Amanda talked about this kind of thing at length in a previous podcast, but attributed it all to the wrong person.
Probably. Who did I attribute it to?
Silaca.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, I talked about his lichen stuff, not this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you were talking about Rictalic.
It comes back to lichens again. I don't know if you've seen the figures.
Yeah, he does. He pulls it back and says that they're probably lichens because lichen is just a form that everything comes back. Anyway, spoilers for the people who are waiting with rapt attention to wonder what we're going to talk about.
But instead of thinking
Spoiler alert, we don't know.
Yeah.
But instead of worrying about what's the future, why don't you take your mind off it with some chemicals, Randall?
And the fact that he's looking vaguely like Jesse from Breaking Bad and talking about chemistry is really kind of awesome right now.
Why am I drinking out of the bottle? I got a glass.
James is hardcore. He's got the 40-ounce bottle, poured himself a glass so that he knows how much he shouldn't drink.
I'm tired, I've got a headache, I ate too much Chinese food yesterday, I need to drink.
Yeah, but there's good Chinese food.
There's no such thing as too much Chinese food.
There is
no such thing.
Did you guys get Panda Garden?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate you. The good Chinese restaurant in Celine is closed until August 6th.
That's okay. The Thai food is now closed to August 19th.
Yeah,
no! Why?
That's why
because you left.
So when you get back, Panda Garden.
Yeah, it's going to be Panda Garden for a little while.
By the way, when do you get back for everyone at home?
I should get back around August 9th.
Oh, okay. I beat you back somehow.
That's funny.
By the way, all the roadworks will still be there. Enjoy that.
Christ almighty.
Okay.
Anyway, chemicals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Randall's going to talk about chemistry now.
Welcome to How to Cook Chemistry.
Welcome to How to Cook.
Now, to really make this filet mignon pop, you just add a bit of cyanide onto your guest plate.
Also, you have to wait, about 2.2 billion years for it to cook
Why am I doing it again?
Right out of the fucking bottle again, James. James, you are hardcore.
See, this is made even better by the fact that I can't see anything other than Randall, so I have no idea what's
I really
going
do
on.
like the fact that I can see you, but you can't see me.
That's so depressing.
That's creepy, James.
It's not creepy. It's not creepy, okay? It's not. Because everyone else is thinking the same thing. Just because I'm more honest, I get labelled creepy. I don't know. We're not putting this in the podcast. Come on, Randall, talk about chemicals.
Yeah, Randall, why don't you teach us how to cook?
Right, so with our chemical analysis here, it's some, X-ray photography, some SEM, some elemental maps for the, metals.
Do you want to sort of define what each of those things are and why they're different? Because I don't know for some of them.
Oh, shit. I just read this about, what time is it?
Probably
3
about an hour
hours
ago.
ago.
We've actually all read
Better
the
than
paper
me, I
this
read
time.
it 2 hours
Yes,
ago.
we have.
We're
Which
like
one?
professional and shit.
We're like professionals.
Ooh, yeah.
You grabbed the bottle for the third time. I swear to God, I thought you were gonna fucking drink from
I
it again.
almost was.
And then you looked at it, you're like, I have a full glass, but I need to fake that I'm pouring into my glass.
Yeah.
Just so. Okay.
Alright, as we mentioned earlier, this stuff has been cooked up to the uppermost green schist facies, so everything's a bit fucked up here.
Yeah, basically, as you start to cook rocks, they become metamorphosed, and there are different facies levels that are degrees of metamorphism.
Isn't green schist one of your sort of decorative, like,
Green
Yeah,
schist?
it can
Green
be.
schist it can be.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find some way that somebody at home might know what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
you
Yeah.
might have
green,
a green.
green schist, marble. Marble's the really big decorative metamorphic
Yeah.
rock.
Blue schist also.
Oh yeah, blue schist. Forgot.
Blue schist, green schist.
I just think it's going green schist, blue schist, and like blue eyes, white dragon.
See, all I'm thinking of is like one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish, except I'm thinking
Yeah.
one schist, two schist, red schist, blue schist.
If your
Wonder
schist
if
is
it was
red,
a
you
red
need to go
schist.
see the doctor.
You do. To be fair, I think if your schist is blue, you have even worse issues.
I don't know. I mean, one of the scariest things ever was when I ate an entire cake mix of red velvet cake.
You
Okay,
just ate
so
the
we-
cake mix?
Well, the thing is, what I often do when I bake is I'll mix it up and I'll get it into a nice kind of eggy dough, and it's so delicious. I'll just eat it instead of cooking it.
It's kind of like making cookie dough just to eat the cookie dough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because fuck the
Okay.
cookies. The cookies suck.
Yeah.
Except
Cookie
Randall's
dough,
cookies were
though.
really good.
Okay, well, that's beside the point.
Yeah.
Where you cracked your knuckles like you were like, what, you want to fight about it?
If
Fuck you, fuck my cookies, you want to fight about it?
If
Huh.
Amanda ever bothered to cook, it would be delicious too.
Thanks, James.
Do you like my
Thanks.
you like my sausage rolls?
That's not a euphemism. He actually makes sausage rolls.
He actually does, and they're pretty good.
Damn right.
Well,
Okay,
you made some great kebabs.
that's true. I made a lot of great kebabs.
You made a plethora of great kebabs.
A flotilla.
A flotilla of great kebabs.
So does that mean we're the British Navy seeing the flotilla of...
No, I was just imagining that they're out to strike at Duodenum.
Okay. So, green schist facies.
Yeah, green schist
What
facies.
happens here is the original minerals are heated up. And due to, either heat, pressure, fluid flow, combination of any of these, the original
What?
minerals...
What was your third one?
Fluid
Fluid
flow.
flow.
Oh, okay, all I heard is fluid the blow. And I'm like, what?
Suck it, Trebek.
Fluid to blow, you know.
Fluid
He's the
to blow.
most
Yeah.
recent
By the
pop
way,
star from the British
that's
scene.
definitely going to be a,
Mr. Y.
that's the name of the femme fatale in a, in a detective story.
No, wouldn't that be Fluid to blow me?
No, fluid the blow because it's Italian.
Okay.
Right.
We're not some 2-bit Austin Powers movie here. Look, she's
Due
yawning.
to any of those factors, combination, the original minerals can and do break down with the different elements shifting positions. Oh god, this could become a mineralogist.
Anyway,
God.
metamorphism
But
is
metamorphism has the original minerals changing into a new type. typically, or a new form of it.
Yeah,
But
without melting is the key thing.
Without melting and recrystallization, yeah.
Yes. One of the
What are you? What is wrong with you, James?
He needs to finish describing it so that I can say, so in summary, schist happens.
we shall deny you this.
Well, he denied himself. He just realized it, was laughing so hard that he needed to explain it.
Now, along with metamorphism,
You did it again! The fourth time in the bottle!
third time
James,
drinking, though.
put the bottle on the counter.
It's done. It's empty.
Dead.
Not quite.
Almost.
It's going to be a very full beer.
Now it's dead.
Problem solved. Nothing of value was lost.
How to solve all your problems?
Wait, empty it?
Drink beer.
Oh, okay. I thought it was empty it,
Okay,
Nope.
what were you going to say, Randall?
Now, along with metamorphism, we will have microstructures formed within the rocks. So we could see microphone. God damn it! Right, let's man. So we'll have microstructures in these rocks now. This will show the direction of if there's folding pressure, and
Right.
the minerals will tend to align along here. Now, within the paper, they've shown us the thin sections where they. What scale were they about?
That's a little too much for me to remember.
Hang on, I've got the paper right here.
I've got it up behind you. I just can't see it.
I've got it right here.
Okay.
I'll take a look. Anywhere from 1 millimeter to 100 micrometers.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah, and everything looks pretty much aligned. Cooked.
Yeah.
One of the things they bring up is these things were obviously in here when the cooking happened, which,
Yeah.
yeah, looking at those
Oh
photos.
yeah, some of them
yeah,
are
those
skewed
are
and
definitely
squashed and yeah.
different orientations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's one in there that just has that one's almost perfectly circular now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking about, and maybe you'll know this because you've shot a few sediments. What does the chemistry tell you about? Is there enough of a signal there to tell you about the original environment, or are you only picking up the metamorphic event?
Well, with the chemistry they did, there's no way you could tell the original environment because you're just
Really?
talking about the elemental stuff.
Okay.
So, specifically because you're actually changing elements, you're not going to
And because you're changing the arrangement of the elements,
Okay.
Mhm.
we don't know. Well, help clays.
So you're basically hitting a reset button, and while
Yes.
you're changing, it depends on what was there originally. You're only ever going to pick up what happened to it rather than how it got there.
Yes. Typically within the rock record, it's always the most recent event that is recorded.
Right.
Now, when we're dealing with metamorphism, it's the highest level of metamorphism that's always recorded.
What about in situations like a marble? A marble is always a metamorphosed limestone. So,
Mhm.
technically
Yeah.
speaking, you know that the original environment was
A
limestone.
limestone. But when
I
we
always thought schists were mudstones or siltstones.
Yeah,
Well-
smectites, illites, clays.
Yeah.
Usually, aren't they? I mean, because if you have a sandstone, then it becomes quartzite, right?
it can, and it typically does.
So we're looking at, if it was a soil, it's a very fine-grained soil. I guess the thing
Which
is there
is
could have...
typical, yeah.
Yeah, and you could have had a lot of pore spaces because it's been compressed.
And,
Yeah,
and to be
so-
fair, like when we're talking about limestone or it's a clay stone, we're talking in like the broadest fucking terms, not an actual
Right.
environmental reconstruction.
Yeah.
What's the level well, actually, no, that's a lie. I do a lot of environmental reconstruction, but I don't like going beyond claystone or whatnot. So I feel happy.
It's kind of, when you have to go down to, this is a finely sedimented thing.
Well, I mean, you can get,
But-
like, if you have actual clays, you can see the smectite, illite, clay, mineral compositions to try and
So,
estimate
yeah.
what type of environment it was in.
And you'll
However,
get banding, so you can see like seasonal changes depending on scale. Stuff
Exactly, and you're not going to get any of that
Yeah.
shit because
No.
it's cooked to death.
Like that. Yeah.
Now with, metamorphism, you have your original clays, they will change to new clays. And
Right.
depending on the direction, we're going to everything lined up. Exact environment, it's going to be really iffy. One of the things they also bring up in here was their organic carbon content. And going through the paper and supplemental material, I didn't find
Any organic carbon?
Well, I didn't find anything except for the values they said in the text.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
Which
the question I have about that is that burns off if it gets hot enough.
it can. The original carbon will break down. And another thing you have to consider here is this has been sitting around for 2.2 billion years. This stuff could be recharged due to fluid flow.
Right.
Yeah, you could get some carbon coming in either from microbial activity or any other fluids.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any, carbon in the fluid going through, blue.
It's okay, you're a beer down.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised at how small the amount of organic carbon actually was. What was it? It was 0.04, whatever units they used. Small units.
It was 0.04
Yeah.
small units?
It was actually
I don't-
0.00 something 4, and it's plus or minus 0.0001 or something like that. It was,
Yeah.
Was it per mil?
yeah, she's got the paper.
Let me see if I can find it.
She's hiding the paper from me. See, it's back here.
She's hiding the paper from you? Well, you could...
No, we should do paper.
No,
on the
in fact,
screen.
I'm not going to touch, because look, it's now fucking ringing on me, so...
Oh, yeah. Are you still there, Amanda?
Yeah, I'm still here. Okay, they said total organic carbon of the samples was 0.04%, and the isotopic composition of organic carbon was negative 25.6 plus or minus 0.08%.
How can it be...
0.04%, so that's a percentage of the total.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
this is really shitty now.
What?
The
connection?
call quality got really bad.
You're still coming in just fine
Yeah.
through here, so...
Okay, good.
I clicked on the PDF file by it. It was a mistake.
Yeah.
We've learned not to click on stuff.
So yeah, there's, it's trace, but it's an appreciable amount of carbon that they're getting out of there.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true. I was
well,
looking
yeah.
at the wrong number.
Okay.
This is going to be bad because it's like an audio podcast, but their figure 7 is that's 7 different tables showing their elemental data
Okay.
over a few transitions of just one of these. What the hell are we calling them?
Oh, wait.
One of the organisms.
Yeah, one of these organisms. Problematica. Let's call them problematica.
Problematica.
I like that.
Okay. Over one of the problematica. The problematica is more or less, imagine an oval.
Yeah, they call them urn-shaped.
Yeah.
You have one transition, which is transition A, which covers the small axis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then there's transition C, which covers the long axis, and transition B, which runs parallel to transition C, but only covers half the range.
So
it's only
it
covering
clips it.
one wall.
It clips it.
And what it's showing is for, A, C, and F figures show the silica, aluminum, potassium, titanium, iron, and magnesium data. This is the only set that has transition A.
Okay.
So what we see here in the wall is that titanium, aluminum, and slightly magnesium are enriched in what's possibly the wall,
Mm-hmm.
while silica, aluminum, potassium are depleted. What's interesting is that inside the sample, inside the problematica and outside of it are just completely the same. The next two sets of figures, which D and G are the calcium and the potassium for the sample, there's no transition A data. So there's no way to actually interpret what's happening in the wall.
That's interesting.
Also, E and F, or E and H, are chromium and chlorine data. Again, don't show anything for transition A, so there's no way of seeing what the hell's happening in the wall. They don't even bother putting carbon on here, which brings up, is this carbon just found throughout?
Yeah,
You'd expect it to be built up in the things if they were organic.
You would want it to not be in the sediment.
Yeah.
And if it's just throughout the entire thing, that doesn't mean that it was organic carbon. It could mean it had an organic.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. It could be organic carbon. It just could be secondary organic carbon.
Here's the other problem, though, right? These things have been metamorphized too. You're picking up minerals, none of which were actually in the animal. So you might find that none of the organic carbon is in the fossils anymore, but it's bled into the sediment. On the other hand, however, these are genuine structures, you can tell that. So you're going to see chemical differences whether or not they're organic in origin.
That's true. Yeah. And you would expect that there should be some reason why there's a unique urn-like structure, even if it's just because it's chemically different doesn't mean it's
right. Whether it's a water flow structure or an organic structure or whatever, there should be something chemically different, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Whenever there is. It's very rare you'll get a structural difference without at least some accidental byproduct of chemical difference.
I mean, it can happen.
Yeah.
Still.
Even if it's just, slight difference, there's a difference. But
even
we're
just
talking...
changes in sediment structure will affect how minerals percolate, and that's going to result in at least minute differences in chemical.
Mm-hmm.
Now, given this is from road cut, we don't know how, this stuff has been interacting with modern.
They say it was 10 meters underneath where it had come out. They said it was freshly cut. But the thing is, if you read it,
that doesn't say shit.
If you read it,
if there's water.
Not just that, but if you read it, these samples were taken 40 years ago now.
Yes. Oh. And also,
this is stuff that was published in the 1970s. These have been figured before.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the Problematica they cut out for all the sampling, they used diamond to cut it out. So.
Diamond shavings to get some carbon on there? Yeah.
Now, with the techniques I use, I could tell the difference between, this was diamond, and this is, just graphite, or more like the organic carbon. Here's carbon.
Yeah, because they just XRD. They just shot it with an X-ray to get the diffraction.
Yeah.
So you'll get the elemental composition,
why didn't they run Raman spectroscopy on this?
No one has
nobody
it.
uses it.
That's why I've got Randol doing shit for me, because nobody does it.
Say is if you look at who they, mention in like the first paragraph, they don't know how to fucking do it.
Okay.
And there's another paper on there that has, I think he's fourth author is the only one that knows how to do it, and almost immediately after that paper came out, he went, "Oh shit, we were wrong."
Oh shit.
I think in terms of chemical data, though, the fact that they haven't even shown you the differences in carbon composition is problematic. I'd want to know why they didn't do it.
Yeah.
If they didn't do it because there is no difference, but they believe that it's because of the metamorphosis, and people are just going to disbelieve them, I would have thought you should still put that in, but say it.
It would be nicer if these, they showed this data. If they even had, figure like they did for the other ones, I'd be a bit more, willing to accept this explanation. But because you just mention your data in the text and don't bother, showing us, why are you hiding it?
Yeah, that's a little suspect.
Why are you hiding
we'll get
Tell us your lies.
I mean,
I don't think we're getting that extreme. I think it was probably more the situation that James was saying, which is it's carbon throughout. They didn't want to have to deal with saying, look, it might just be metamorphic, so they just didn't mention it, or they didn't think it was important.
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, they do the chemicals, but they do the chemicals as a way to say this doesn't disprove what we're saying. Yeah. When you look at the structure of the paper, they do it mostly on morphology, and everything else is explaining why, trying to patch holes that people are going to poke in it in advance, because they've been through this a number of times, and people keep
poking the same holes.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the issue with early life, right? Like, early life is a battleground. It's fought in trenches with everybody holding on and, grasping for life.
Yeah.
No, what I found is early life. No, what you found is not early. No, what I found is early life.
I mean, there's interesting, because they cite a bunch of dates. First of all, I mean, their justification for it being a paleosol is just 20 references of the people that have worked on this in the last 30 years, including people that didn't believe it was a paleosol, and then references that have said why they're wrong.
And references to the paleosol book written by your town.
Yeah. And now I understand completely that's not the point of this paper, and you don't want to have to get into that in detail.
It just would have been nice to throw a paragraph in there. It's like, this is why we think it's paleosol.
But it's it's obviously a contentious issue. It's obviously a very contentious issue.
Yeah.
But they're sort of deflecting it with the amount of... That's how papers work. It's the point of the reference system.
Yeah.
It's a cascading network of information. But the fact that they've had to do that should at least make you aware that it's not as cut and dry as perhaps they present in the materials section.
Right.
So do we have anything else we want to talk about the chemistry, or are we going to take a break?
I'm good with chemistry.
I think we're fine for now, and we'll get into the structure and the biology side of it when we get back.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. Okay. All right, we better get started because I think we need to go to Costco pretty soon. I didn't think this would take as long as it is.
You never. It's interesting that you do all these podcasts, and you always think they're going to be super quick, and they never are.
No, it's usually about 2 hours.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we're going to be heading to Costco here in about 45 minutes. So.
All right. Well, welcome back, everybody, and we're going to be talking now about the biological portion of this paper.
Yeah, this is the fun part.
Yeah. Biology.
What the fuck were those quote marks for, Randall?
You know why.
Okay.
Randall doesn't believe in that.
What is it? Biology? Biology is chemistry, chemistry is physics, physics is math, and math is just really hard.
No, maths is philosophy.
It's philosophy.
Math is logic. Core of logic.
No, it's not. That's bullshit. That's just what mathematicians tell you in order to try and get laid.
I don't know how... Never mind. Oh... I've just been punching in the face.
Wait, to try and get laid? You've just
Randall
been
punches
people
mathematicians in the face
No.
in an attempt to get laid.
Mathematicians? I thought you just punched people in the face. It was like, they're out now. We should probably talk about the stuff if we've got a time limit.
Yeah, let's get talking.
So, there were 3 main portions of things that I thought were very interesting. 2 are biological, 1 is just from a paper perspective. The first one is morphology, the other is your biogenic criteria that I want to discuss. Mm-hmm. And then the third is the interesting fact that it makes it perfectly clear that Randol is sole author of the systematic section, and that the name should only be attributed to Randol.
Oh.
Yes.
I noticed that.
People do it when they want due attribution, but there's no reason to do that. Literally, the attribution should just be to the paper, and it's really bad and egotistical when people do that. Because that means you have to cite it as in Randol, and then the 3 other authors, 2013.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that was a thing.
Nah.
Yeah, I've seen...
So it's pretty much the same thing as if you're citing, something that was printed up in a book, which was edited by somebody else.
That's more tricky. You'll often just cite the chapter. Most cases you do see it is when somebody else is describing something and they're going slow. And,
other conversations going on in the
Sorry.
Guest
my dad
appearance
was
by
like-
Amanda's father.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be fun. Let's put him on there, Meryl Falk. Anyway.
So yeah, generally when you will see that is when somebody's describing something and they're going slow and somebody else wants to cite it, so they will name the species and it will be species, that person's name, and they'll attribute it to the guy that's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But what will happen is that they'll have to cite it as that guy in their paper.
Okay.
And when the author of a paper then says only this author did the systematic section, that's kind of bad. There are a number of reasons why you do it, but none of them are really good.
Okay. Well, why don't we cover the morphology before we cover all the criteria?
Okay, I mean, that can go quite quick because it's going to sit there blobs.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. They're
Not
urn-shaped
exactly
blobs.
complicated morphology here.
Yeah. I mean, looking at the holotype, I'm actually fairly convinced it is a hollowed out thing with a cap and then a stalk.
Yeah.
And then there are cilia in the cap end. And I'm like, that really does look like an organism.
It looks...
Yeah.
A lot of the other ones are semicircles or hemispheres that have obviously been badly metamorphosed and are warped.
For the chemical data, I would have loved to have seen, your transect just like right across the area with cilia.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that would have been cool.
So it's difficult to try to say. I don't know how many of the things they're actually saying are if say the holotype is actually an organism, I don't know how many of the other other structures are actually organisms because they're so very variable.
Safely, you probably say that the ones are probably about the same size, same metamorphic, same.
So yeah, I mean these things will grow.
Same.
But
Yeah. How should we word this? Same, shape. At
Yeah.
least. We don't know how metamorphism affected this. As in this paper, early on figured there's one that's clearly just almost a perfect circle.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at trilobites through metamorphosed areas in the late Cambrian, early
There's a lot of
early
shear.
Ordovician, yeah, they tend to just kind of look like you took a trilobite picture on silly putty and then just stretched it out.
Yeah. The interesting thing is that they say these are eukaryotes, which you could. I mean, they're very large to be single cells, right?
Well, yeah, but you get very large single-celled organisms
Given the
even
size,
Yeah, you
it
get
could be
large
bacteria
amoeboids.
or-
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Exactly.
today. Slime molds are single-celled organisms.
Yeah. And then they point out that the age difference.
Everything doesn't have to go back to slime molds. Man.
Slime molds own, shut up.
well, that's because this Halloween she's going to be Slimer.
She never does Halloween.
But she could.
I don't have a Halloween costume.
Well, you can come up with one. There's time.
Yeah.
Wait, no, time compression. There's not! No, I was just
Depending
thinking,
on when you listen to this, James may or may not have had a Halloween costume.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's really hard to actually tell. It would be, some of these things are more circular, and you kind of have to wonder, are they arguing that these are like cross sections through?
I would suspect that they must be.
If you're judging by the photos in the paper, you have to remember these are thin sections through there, so it's possible that some of these could be just slicing through part of it. Well,
Right.
hell, all of these are just slicing through part of it. The ones they tried to describe the best are the ones like, oh, we think we got through the midsection of this one.
Through a
It's probably
sagittal
best
section, yeah.
represented.
The interesting thing is in their 3D reconstructions, these things look so crappy.
Did you watch the video?
No.
wait, there's a
Oh.
video?
There's
yes,
a video?
There's supplementary material. 1 and 2 are 3D recreation videos,
Oh.
which is kind of cool.
I'm surprised. I mean, I understand why they wouldn't want to, but I'd have thought serial grinding would work better for reconstructing the 3D morphology here.
Probably would, but then again, everything's serial grinded. We're talking stuff that hasn't been highly metamorphosed, and stuff that's clearly.
But then you'd
an
actually
organism.
know what the specimens look like at least.
Yeah, but then you destroy the specimen, and they don't have a paratype or another specimen that's just
Well, you
as
don't
good.
need to destroy the holotype.
Well, the Herefordshire stuff, they've ground the holotypes down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they could technically recreate models out of those 3D files.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true, they could.
And they did do for a few of them.
They did for a few
at
of them.
higher scale.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
So, I mean, I think the interesting, I mean, they give you the times, and if these are life, and if they're eukaryotes, they're 0.6 billion years, which is what, 600 million years or 6,000 million years? 6,000? Billion is a million.
0.6 billion is
Yeah.
600 million.
600 million.
600 million. No, it's not.
They're 2.2 billion, I thought.
They're
Yeah.
2.2 billion, so that's 2,200
Okay,
million.
we're hitting an interesting problem here, which is the American billion is smaller than the European billion.
That's not true at all.
No, it is completely true. You can fucking search it. You can search it. It's 1,000 million in America and 1,000,000 million in Europe.
That's weird.
But it goes 999
But this is
million 999,999 1 billion.
As far as you know, because you're American, I had this when I first came here.
So you're saying that they taught you?
No, our number is right because it's exponential. That's how numbers go. It goes 10, 100,000. Except it doesn't work for 100,000.
10, 100,000 million, billion.
100 is 10 tens, 1,000 is 10 100s,
Mm-hmm.
10,000, 10,000.
Yeah, 10,000 isn't
so
a thing. That's just 10,000. A million is 1,000,000.
Yes.
European billion is a million millions.
I told you.
The
Fucking
fuck?
told you. Because you're fucking retards. Sorry. Well, no, you're not. But because you... That's why there are more billionaires in America than there are in Europe. Because it's a smaller number.
That makes sense.
Oh,
Okay.
I
We'll
can't be-
discuss this later.
I can't believe none of you guys know this. It annoys the fuck out of me because we all know it in England and in Europe.
But
No.
but no actual scientific paper I've seen coming out of Europe has
Yeah, do you
these
know?
numbers.
Do you know why? Because you have to work by the American system for dating. Because otherwise, you'd all get fucking confused because you don't even know this problem exists. Like we've been accommodating for you for hundreds of years.
How nice of you.
Anyway, shut up. You can't go canoeing.
You can't go canoeing.
Fuck
and
you, James!
You know, I'm gonna have to ask Craig about this because he's, Aussie, so.
Yeah, but no, it's an interesting thing, and I mean, this is when I first got here. There was a Spanish student that Josh thought was really stupid because he couldn't. He asked how much a billion was. It's like, how can you not know? And I said it's not the same number in Europe, and he's like, that's stupid. And they looked it up, and it's completely true, and the kid was right.
So then you just go for X thousand millions.
Yeah.
Okay.
See,
whereas our system is based off of a set of 3 zeros.
Yeah, that I guess that kind of makes sense, but it's really weird to me.
Yeah. That's the logic behind it. Is every set of 3 zeros is a different unit.
That's where the comma goes. Yeah.
well, you weren't
And
raised
that's why
with it,
in
though.
Britain you don't have the comma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, so aside from that, so it's not 600. It's not 6,000 million. It's 600 million.
But it's not.
It's 0.6 billion, which is 600 million, right?
No, I thought it was it would be 2,200 million. I thought was the date.
These
samples are from 2.2
2,000
billion.
in U.S. systems, so
Which
2,200
is
million.
2,200 million.
Okay, and so, but they're 0.6 billion, which is 600 million, older
Yes.
than the currently suggested.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Than the
Okay,
currently
yes.
suggested eukaryote life.
I thought you were saying that these were just before the Cambrian
no.
explosion.
So they're 600 billion years older than the currently accepted earliest eukaryote life.
Which would be the Ediacan? Or
Yeah.
I think there's some
think-
earlier.
Oh, there's
some stuff before
Duochanto, there's embryos and stuff.
Yeah, there's all that
Yeah.
embryo stuff.
Yeah.
no, Duchanto's about the same age as Ediacan.
Okay, but there is something else that they reference in the
Yeah.
paper that's not Vendian.
There's
Okay.
iron-banded nodules and stuff like that.
I thought
Iron-banded
E.D.
nodules.
Akron was 0.8 billion, 800 million.
I like how now everyone is self-correcting to 800 million just because of this one thing.
Yeah, really.
They're
how
completely
old
we're
is
completely
E.D. Akron?
mindfucking
By the way,
ourselves.
the more you know.
Holy
You
shit!
know.
Go fuck yourselves.
That was a
Call
reference.
that.
But yeah, and interestingly enough, this told me something about the molecular people that have been working on this as well. The currently accepted oldest life is still 100 million older than the current molecular clock estimates. And the fact that they
Yes.
haven't corrected for the fact that there is older stuff really tells you something about the fact that they're not calibrating their clocks based on fossils. But that makes it something like 800 million years older than the molecular clock estimate of when these things should have been around.
Well, yeah.
That was something.
But-
But they also reference a different molecular clock study that said that, or a different study that suggested that maybe they were okay.
Yeah, but it depends a lot on parameters. If you do molecular clock studies on Mondarians and don't account for the fact that the Earth is only so many billion years old, their
puts them to the
divergence
origin
types
before
goes back
Earth.
beyond the universe existed.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, this goes
jeez.
back to the there was the protostome-deuterostome split debate
Yes.
going back as far as like 5,000 million years or
Yeah.
something like that.
How many billion is that?
5
Let's see,
billion.
the Earth is
I don't know, metric or American.
4.6 billion, so they are aliens.
Okay.
I don't think Randall understood what you were talking about.
So
Or Randall just didn't care about your little snipey
often
comments.
when I'm having a conversation with Randall will say something. I'm like, Randall is making his own joke, and I'm going to ignore that and carry on.
Randall wasn't really making his own joke. Randall was actually commenting on the fact that 5,000 million or 5 billion, if you're
Is
in the United
older than
States,
the Earth.
is older than the Earth.
Yeah.
I don't think it was actually that. I think it was like 3.8. But regardless, it was so close that it didn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Haitian.
But in terms of structure, I mean, some of them look convincing. I mean, I could see there could be a way these things could occur diagenetically, but they
Possible, yeah.
in terms of like a structure of organisms, they're probably one of the most convincing things I've seen come out for early Precambrian life.
Yeah.
It definitely looks like, this could definitely be microbial.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's terrestrial and whether or not it's coming from a paleosol. Who
Yeah,
knows?
I mean,
Yeah.
in all honesty, that's my major gripe with this. Not that, these organisms, these things could be organisms, sure, but we really don't know if they're terrestrial or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's
But
the thing. That's
then
my
again,
main beef.
How do you want to define terrestrial life?
Anything that's on land.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that is sort of the definition
because
of
they're
terrestrial.
in the land, they don't count.
No, infaunal terrestrial. You have infaunal.
Infaunal's
You have
kinda
infaunal.
strange.
Are you
terrestrial.
saying
What the
graboids
hell?
aren't terrestrial?
It's still terrestrial. It's just epi versus
Yes,
infaunal.
because what we have in this paper are embryonic graboids.
I got a Trevor's reference in.
Hey James, we're gonna go out to a valley in Nevada.
Nah,
I want you to wear this new atomic watch I
Nah.
got you.
there's nothing in Nevada.
There's actually a lot of things in Nevada, but anyway.
You know
But,
that
I mean,
Kraken.
the other thing that I really struck me is, okay, even if these are terrestrial, what does that mean? Doesn't mean anything, because we know the point where
we know when plants
vascular
appear.
plants came
Yeah.
onto land. We know the
Yes.
point when arthropods came onto land. We know the point when tetrapods came onto land. If these things came onto land, they did not give rise to other terrestrial organisms.
No.
They eventually just
No.
went extinct.
Yeah.
They were a dead end.
I mean, they didn't evolve into. They
Anything.
might not have been a dead end. They might have persisted for a while
Yeah.
while other things were on. We just
Then
don't have
again,
any
these
evidence.
things are only described from this location.
The most
So,
interesting thing is
yeah.
if these things
don't
are
know.
organic and they are living in a paleosol, then they were creating a fertile environment that other things could then live on, and that might explain why other things might have even been able to go onto land at all.
Maybe
That's
things
true.
created enough nutrients in the soil for plants to.
And at the
rise.
same time, I mean, for a long time, we thought the Devonian was a wasteland. The Devonian had fungi all over the terrestrial realm. Prototaxites was like 6
Yeah.
feet tall. It was
Yeah.
a giant phallic fungus.
They're even getting some proto-plants up into the latest Ordovician, early Silurian. kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're always pulling this stuff back and reinterpreting things.
Yeah.
But I don't think that this necessitates a complete reinterpretation of
Well,
the
absence of
oxygen-free
I
evidence
don't
world.
is
think
not
so,
evidence
no.
of absence.
Yes.
While I would cautiously accept these things might be organic, I would be very skeptical about them being terrestrial. I don't see anything to prove to me that this is a real paleosol.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
mean, in
agree
the
with
paper
you
they
on
even say, well, originally this is interpreted as originating from lower beds, but our chemical data suggests that it's probably a mixture from the lower beds and the upper stuff.
They think it kind of looks like a lichen, but they have no other explanation. They have no other parts that look like a lichen.
No,
Yeah.
that's because Retallick always wants to find Precambrian lichens on land.
Yeah, he
That's-
really
that's-
likes lichens for some reason. It's kind of weird.
Because they're basic and
simple.
easy, yeah.
Well,
Probably
they're
thinks
simple,
those
but
are
at the
test-
same time, they're actually quite complex because they're a symbiotic organism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he probably just thinks that it's a good test example of what early life must have been like, that there must have been some cooperation between two other groups just to survive.
I guess, but still.
Symbiosis.
You could just be a shitty scavenger that just shoved anything that was very organic into your mouth, and that would do.
Yeah.
Well, if you even had mouths, you might have just had some sort of absorptive skin or whatever tissue.
I feel like we're starting an X-Files episode now.
That would be an interesting X-Files episode.
sure it's probably
I'm
already
pretty
been
sure
done.
it's actually been done. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure there was something that people just got absorbed by.
Something like that.
There was
No, that's
definitely
at
at
least
least
Dean
the
Coote's
giant
book.
fungus underneath Yellowstone that would make people think they were living a happy life and just absorb them.
It was
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Oh, it was so awesome.
Is it season 4?
Season 6.
Season 6?
Yeah.
I haven't watched the X-Files in too long. That's
I
on
can't.
Netflix, right?
I watched them when I was too young, and I can't watch them.
Oh, when you watch them, you're just, like, traumatized?
They're terrifying.
It's on X
Well, the
Files.
earlier episodes.
X-Files are on Amazon. I think they're also on Netflix.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna have to start watching those once I have actual free time.
They're pretty great. I also just have the entire DVD box set. Hidden
Ooh, yeah.
somewhere is my season 5 disc. I think I pulled it out because it's my favorite season, and I can't fucking find it anywhere.
Ah, shit.
No, it was fungus.
The fungus took it?
No. It was those invisible things.
Oh yeah, it's the Invisible Things, because that's part of season 5. Or it was a series of obsessive-compulsive hick vampires who live in the South and have a trailer park.
What about the guy?
So
what about the
it's
monster
Arkansas?
that just dresses like a clown and knocks people out and mates with them?
That one's also season 5.
They get fun with it because they're like, fuck it. It's just
Pretty much.
We're doing a movie, bitches.
so. I guess
I hate to do this, but I actually have to go.
you do.
Yeah.
Okay, well, can James just do his quick summation? He's got
Yes.
something to say.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask about biogenetic criteria, but
Okay, let's do that real quick.
okay. So they list 6 biogenetic criteria, and I want to know how many of you guys think which one. We're playing a game called Circular, Unproven, and what the
And
fuck.
this criteria was based
So
on the
classify
most...
each of these as circular, unproven, or what the fuck.
These
yeah.
were based
or
upon
valid, but
the
I don't
most
know.
liberal interpretations of the ITs. these
So
days. Yeah.
biogenetic criteria. 1, known provenance.
So we know where it comes from?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's great.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Okay, so that's a what the fuck.
Yes.
Plausible environment for life.
WTF.
Circular. You found life, so
Circular.
you know it's plausible.
Yeah, well, not
Yeah.
just that, but given what we've just said, we don't know what the environment is in the Precambrian, and also, who the fuck know life finds a way, to quote a mathematician.
Chaotician.
Who,
Chaos
fuck
Station.
you. Who knows what life can or cannot persist in, especially when they're shitty little urns.
Right.
Same age as the Rock. I understand this one. This one comes from the fact that Martian meteorites and secondary diagenetic processes.
Stromatolites.
Yeah.
Oh,
often-
like dinosaur teeth that we find in Paleocene. Eocene
yeah, stuff like
deposits,
that,
yeah.
or even
Trilobites we might find reworked into the modern.
or even secondarily fossilized bacteria that are living in pore spaces in,
Yeah.
in Precambrian rocks, stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
Plausible composition.
WTF.
Plausible
Yeah, definitely.
composition.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
It's made
carbon.
of carbon, nitrogen, and
Yeah.
oxygen and hydrogen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the... Damn it, you. I'm
Yeah,
a doctor.
It's not a green-blooded freak.
Uh-huh.
We're talking about some sort of lava monster.
Because Bones is
It's-
space racist.
It's silica-based, Jim. I can't do anything with it.
You could cook it into a glass statue.
Yeah, you
I'm
can.
gonna inject this guy's blood into it. Triple.
Yeah, let's be talking
Okay.
about that movie the better.
No,
Let's keep
5 taphonomic something. Hang
Five
on.
taphonomic
taphonomic series.
series. Okay.
So, and this is what they say when they've got these various warped ones, that if you take these all together, they make a single shape.
Okay, so you need to see that
That's
it's been
bullshit.
decayed, is what they
Yeah.
want to say.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. It depends on, how fast preservation was.
It's also problematic because what if
Depends
you're
on a
getting a
lot
whole
of
bunch
things.
what if you're getting a whole bunch of abiotic minerals that are just forming in slightly different ways because they're not fully forming, and then that looks like a taphonomic series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if this was just something that, metamorphosed and
Yeah,
Void space.
metamorphosis for God's
Diagenetic
sake.
series can look almost identical to taphonomic series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And the 6th one is repeated complexity.
Define complexity.
You repeatedly see the same shape.
That's problematic because we know minerals do that.
Especially metamorphic stuff.
So, to
Yeah.
my mind, what these 6 biogenetic criteria come down to is if you think it looks like an animal, and you think it looks like an animal, then it could be an animal.
Yeah. To be fair, though, isn't that kind of what we always intrinsically do?
That's true.
Yeah.
It's easy when you've got...
Oh, yeah.
It's easy when you're from the Cambrian upwards, and you can tell most things are animals when they're animals.
That's true. But all
Yeah.
you're looking at is like, well, that looks like an animal, so it must be an animal.
Well, I mean, the human brain is designed to look at to find patterns, which
Yes.
means that you're always going to see things, even when there's not. It's very rare that you won't see something when there is something.
And given that we can't see a pattern of these things?
Well, I can see a really nice holotype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
That's about
Piltdown
it.
Dan was a really nice holotype also.
Well, the Piltdown Man. Do you want me to tell you the story of the Piltdown Man? Do you have time, Amanda?
Real quick.
Okay, so the Piltdown Man was actually, everyone knows it's a hoax, but it was propagated by a guy that just thought it'd be really funny to age up a skeleton of various different animals with bits of tea bags and play a practical joke on, I think it was another scientist who was doing it.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
To play a practical joke on these guys that he thought were just a bit full of themselves. And it, of course, got very big in the media, and they started doing a lot with it, and he realized that maybe this was going too far, so he would show them all that it was a hoax, and prove once and for all that it was not a real animal, not a real skeleton. And he sawed a cricket bat in half, and just threw the handle of the cricket bat in, so that they would know for a fact that this was a modern thing. And the handle of that cricket bat became its femur.
Oh, jeez.
Because they knew what they were expecting to find, and they found what they were expecting to find.
Yep.
Jeez.
And I guess on that note, we should probably call it a day. So I've been
Yep.
Kurt.
Randall.
James.
And Amanda.
And signing off.
Go see Pacific Rim.
No. Just fucking robots. What's the point?
It's the best movie of the year.
That's bullshit.
I kind of thought it was really funny. You people are fucking retarded. I mean, no. Just like.
None of us have ever heard of this problem.
That's why I get so angry about it. Not because it's a thing, but because nobody here realizes it's a thing.
Yeah.
Makes me so angry.
I mean, to be fair, if you look at the Latin, and
Okay.
it makes a lot of sense because it's just million versus 2 by million, just million to the squared.
I mean, a million is 1,000,000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I guess that's why
Which-
we do it. 1,000 is only 10 hundreds, but we kind of gloss over that.
Yeah.